Just a couple of guys, a couple of microphones, and a heck of a lot of know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, and alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Onos? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know Show. Let's go. Let's talk some football. Listen, we got a great show for you guys. We got plenty to talk about. I know you're going to be surprised. We still managed to come up with stuff to talk about the NFL, unlike some of the other networks out there. They just can't get it together.
Yeah, now they want to talk. I guess it was the Carr brothers that wanted to talk about brother duos now and ranking them all. You want to talk about the Boses and the Watts and the, the Diggs, right? What else is there, though, after that? I'm like, okay, easy. That list was done. It's done.
Exactly. Who has the biggest shoe collection? That's what I want to know. Every NFL fan wants to know that.
Yeah, next they're probably going to which corner would be a better wide receiver. You know what I mean? Let's switch what they're doing, see how it goes.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
If you guys have something like that in the comments too, drop it down in the comments if you want to. We'll be happy to talk about it. If you guys want to discuss it, that's cool. But thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't yet, make sure you guys go to YouTube, hit the subscribe button, Football on the Know Show, hit the notification bell, let you know wherever we go live. And also, don't forget, if you want to take us on the go, you can follow us on Spotify and on Apple and Google Podcasts, too. Wherever you find your podcast, you can just listen to our great golden pipes. Right, Joe? Don't have to see the visualized, right?
It sounded pretty fluid.
Yes. Nice. The golden pipes. All right, so I want to talk about goldenness. How about the guy who just got the extension here? Darwin James gets the 4-year extension worth $76.5 million on an average $19.1 million per year, Joe. Hits the $29 million, I think, the first year.
It's the average, but you got
though. What do you think about that?
Still got to wait and see how the contract is still broken down. Initial reports, you always go to average per year, it would be this. But then when you actually see the contract and the details of it, and be like, maybe not. It's maybe not that bad, so it might be backloaded or something like that.
Right. Well, the thing is, too, it's when it's most guaranteed money for a safety, and then also the biggest contract for a safety right now, highest paid safety in the NFL or of all time.
Highest paid all time.
All time.
So I think it's a little too rich. I mean, safeties typically don't make crazy amounts of money. I mean, listen, this is gonna hurt the Chargers. This isn't it's a good thing they were able to come to a deal. Obviously, you can't let Darwin James walk out your door or create a problem amongst each other to where he wants out and wants to be traded. So yes, they lock him up. They lock down this deal. They're gonna keep him, and rightfully so. But here's the other thing that could be seen as a negative is because you look at the contracts that they had with J.C. Jackson in free agency, making him the highest paid corner in the league. And then all of a sudden they turn around and they're like, oh, well, we have another guy we got to work on. Well, our safety, Darwin James, needs a contract. Now we're going to make him the highest paid ever at that position. Mm-hmm. So when you start throwing big contracts like this around and them being a very young team, it's only going to become a big problem down the road because in a couple of years, guys like Justin Herbert are going to be knocking on the door saying, hey, I want a new deal. You know what I mean? He's going to command a ton of money because at the trajectory that he's going, he's tearing the league apart right now. So, I mean, you have that. You have also these other younger players that are going to be growing up. And listen, the other thing, too, is they just got another deal done with their other wide receiver there, big man, Williams. Mm-hmm. So these contracts, they've managed to give, one decent size and then these two major big contracts, and that's just for 3 players. When it comes around where Herbert's going to need a new deal, Austin Eckler's going to need an extension, offensive lineman like Rashawn Slater, yes, he's still in his second year of his rookie deal, but when his contract comes up the next 2 to 3 years, he's going to need a new. So all of this money that you're throwing around right now, it's going to hurt you in the long run. So I just hope that going forward, the Chargers organization and front office are smart enough to know that the next couple of years are going to have to be careful with how they go about using their finances.
Yeah. And it seems like this year, most, I guess, in a while, they're really looking at these contracts and not really holding on to it so much. They're like, these guys are, as long as they show up, and even if he didn't participate in drills, but he showed up, they were like, all right, we're willing to work with you, and then they gave it to him. It doesn't seem like there's so much tension between these guys
not at all.
this season. Like we've seen in the past with some other guys that want to get paid where, they threaten they're going to hold out or whatever. It seems like especially these secondary guys are really getting their money. But again, Darwin James, I think when he's on the field, he is a big factor for them on defense. But that's the thing, though, when you bring up the fact that how often is he on the field? Last year, still, despite, being injured for his early on in his career. Last year, despite all that, though, still he ranked top 5 in tackles for loss, quarterback hits, and forced fumbles. And he was the only safety with 100-plus tackles, 2 or more sacks, and 5 more tackles for loss. In fact, that's the second time any safety in the league has ever reached those marks in the last 4 seasons. And the last one to do it was Jamal Adams there in 2018.
And that's the thing, too, is like, how often is he on the field? Like, he has a bad history of not being there. He missed 2 full years due to injury. And yes, he's an impactful player when he's playing, but now that you've locked him up and now you've completely agreed to this big time deal with him, you're married to him. So whether maybe he gets injured a month later or a couple weeks later, or maybe you don't even make it to the season, and now he's done for the year again, you still are paying that man his guaranteed money, and you're on the hook with that big contract. So, I mean, if he was most of the time healthy and was always around, and maybe he missed a game here or a game there, okay, fine. But this has got to be a little bit of a concern too, because now you've raised the market in the safety department, and for a guy who has been kind of banged up and injured and out of the lineup quite often. So now the next guy that steps in line, like Simmons from Cincinnati or from the Broncos, all these safeties now are going to command more money than that. They want to be paid all-time high. So this is also going to create a little bit of a problem for other teams.
All right, we've got a couple guys in the house. We've got Jeremy Clute in the house with us tonight. And Paul Matty's in the house with us tonight as well.
What's going on, Jeremy and Paul?
He says, greetings from Playa Linda Beach, Florida, gentlemen. Absolutely. Greetings on the sunny state of Florida. I don't think Darwin James has proven himself enough to get that kind of money, says Jeremy. 2 seasons just isn't enough.
Right.
And basically that's it.
It's about longevity. It's about what have you done for me lately. You hear that term quite often. So,
and the guy you think of that he just eclipsed was Minkah Fitzpatrick, which I think has been healthy, has been all over the field, and really even when he would play with Miami was good. But then even on that trade to when he went to Pittsburgh has been outstanding for Pittsburgh. Okay. Boom. Silence. Drop the mic. That was a drop the mic moment, maybe.
I'm just waiting to get going here.
Excellent. All right. So, but yeah, I mean, so there you go. He gets the deal done there. I think most of the consensus says that it's a little bit too much. But again, I've seen these owners just kind of and these teams just kind of just make the deal, get it done, and maybe they'll just figure it out, restructure along the way. Maybe they have a game plan for Justin Herbert down the road. But we'll see.
They'll be in trouble.
But we'll see. Absolutely. So again, thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Joe ended up finding an interesting article looking around at some things, and what we like to do too is trying to do some different things along the way from what your traditional headlines are going on. Like everybody's talking about now, it's like, oh, Aaron Rodgers, he's upset with saying the receivers are dropping passes and blah blah blah, and this the crap. Oh, let's hear what the receivers have to say about that now. No, we don't need to do any of that.
Well, the funny thing is about Aaron Rodgers, he's been complaining about the receivers.
Oh, I know, that's what I'm saying. He's been complaining about that, but now they want to hear their reaction. Like, what do you think about Aaron Rodgers complaining about you?
Doesn't matter.
Like, really, dude? It's like, we don't want to hear this, like, he said, she said crap. I mean, it's stupid. But Joe found a good article, Joe.
They better step up.
Yeah. And what's that? What was that about here, Joe? What we got here?
So there was an article that stated something about new ideas for new scheduling ideas for the NFL for the upcoming season or maybe even beyond. And a couple of them were interesting. A few of them, it's like, that's not going to fly. And we're going to tell you why, because the first one on the list is Tuesday night games. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, absolutely, let's do it. Every football fan would say that. But there's a couple reasons why. Tuesday night makes a lot of sense because, we have Monday night. Why not extend the weekend a little bit more into Tuesday nights? So we have some Tuesday night football. But the main reason is because it would be great for the NFL to have Friday night games or Saturday night games, but the NFL can't do that until the month of December due to conflict with the college football games that happen on Friday nights and Saturday nights and so forth. So instead of being limited by that, Tuesday nights is wide open. So we all know that it's going to end up make it a short week, but it would be a good idea, to actually extend it. So how the NFL schedulers out there, if you play Thursday night football, right? Obviously you're not going to play Sunday, you know what I mean? And then it goes into the following week. So they try to extend it. So the same thing could be done here. So if you play on Tuesday night, you don't have to play until either Monday night or Sunday night. You know what I mean? To kind of give that little bit of extension so that you can try to at least get repaired physically and ready for the next game.
Yeah, I know what you're saying here. What do you guys think up there in the comments about any of these when we bring them up too? Let us know. Tuesdays, again, it's getting too crazy. Because, again, what are you going to do when you offset another set of these teams where they end up playing on a Tuesday? It's drawing closer to that weekend. So, what? You still maybe then play Sunday night still? I mean, you're shortening up your recovery time, like you said. And for a league that's telling you right now that apparently they care about your health and everything and stuff like that. It seems like despite the what the players have done to make progress to help ensure that they're going to stay healthier, the team or the league year after year creates new opportunities to make money at the expense of players getting injured easily. You know what I mean? And that's the difference in what they did. They've added the other week without an extra bye week. Like I said, if you wanted to add another week, I said give them another bye week. That's an even trade-off. Yep. You get that extra rest week, and you get to play another game. You still make your money on selling those tickets.
Yeah, the NFL gets their extra week of revenue.
Yep, and revenue.
And it favors
now
everybody.
Tuesday again, I mean, I think that's just insane.
I think it could be done. I mean, I do think it could be done. And here's the other thing, too, is obviously as a football fan, of course you would want to see more games. But the thing is that's why you don't see Saturday games or Saturday night games until the month of December. Mm-hmm. So this is a way to kind of get around that until you reach December, and then maybe you schedule it, as Saturday games.
We've got somebody on Facebook here. For some reason, it's not saying your name, so I'm sorry. It says Facebook user, so if you could, just let us know your name quick unless we check Facebook quick. But you're here, we see, and it increased supply, you'll decrease demand.
Thank you, Facebook
and
user.
It says, no thank you. But with the NFL, does that really the case though? And then that's the thing we've already kind of learned, I think, with the NFL.
Oh, it's John.
That really doesn't matter. Oh, it's John Turner.
Welcome to the show, buddy.
There you go. See, what it is maybe Zuckerberg has got his number again, There you go. Now they're not allowing me to see his even name. They made them. The
John,
name was he's now
he's the double agent.
Well, no, it's like now he's inmate 11072 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because he's been in Facebook jail so many times. But John, pleasure having you with us here tonight. All right, Joe. What's another idea that they posted on here? Some of them are a little crazy, but it's something to think about.
Another one is regular Monday night doubleheaders.
We're going to have the most this year so far.
This can work, too. I mean, because now you're getting 2 games out of the way, both on Monday Night Football, which can be arranged. We've seen them do it multiple times already, and that's an easy one to put on the table. You know what I mean? Or I think a lot of people could get behind it for different reasons. It's attainable, absolutely, and I think it makes sense. I mean, if that's the route that they wanted to go, I don't think it hurts anybody. I think it, at the very least, we, always want more football, and I think that would be welcomed by a lot of people.
Right. I mean, the only one downfall for me, again, is us, I guess, on the East Coast. Some of these games get started, and then what times they are. They're kind of offset, so, I mean, you miss a little bit to finally view another one, but I think it all together works out. I mean, they do double headers all the time in baseball. They're doing it a few times this season. So you see a couple of Monday nights with different double headers this year. And I think it's good enough for me. And again, you're not adding that extra day.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it works, and just like that's the thing too is like, I understand like what they're trying to do. They're trying to expand like the exposure that you're going to get, or be able to watch more games in certain weekdays. But we got to think about this too. You have Thursday night games, you have Monday night games, and then in the month of December, that's kind of when they can expand the scheduling a little bit more. That's when you start to see more Saturday nights, Saturday games, and everything. So with it all being said and done, I mean, Tuesday night is kind of pushing it, like you were kind of alluding to, but it's still doable. So I mean, the NFL, would be on board because an extra day of money to come in, what I mean, for TV rights.
John says Monday Night Football doubleheader would be asking Disney to pay double price since they have the exclusive Monday Night Football deal.
That's right, Disney, pay up.
Boom. Yeah. Pay your fair share, right, Disney? That's what we hear all the time. I love it. Disney, now you pay your fair share.
That's it.
How about that?
Next, we have another topic here, a 19-week season. And now with more bye weeks. So when you go into, this is the kind of argument that me and Jim had last time when they were talking about extending the season by an extra week. And we're like, okay, we can be down with it, just like we basically said it earlier in the show, is have 2 bye weeks and you can have your 17th week and nothing changes really. The NFL still gets a week more revenue, with TV rights and sales and all that, and the teams still don't play any more weeks than they already have from the previous season. So it seems to work both ways, but they didn't do that. Now, this new idea is to have a 19-week season with more bye weeks. So like our other idea with 17 bye weeks to have 2 bye weeks, or 17 games to have 2 bye weeks. You're asking for a 19-week season now. Now you're adding 2 more extra weeks on top of the week that was added last year. And you're saying, we can still have more bye weeks. Okay, but here's the problem with this idea, is we've already seen a countless number of injuries. I mean, just ascending through the roof. And it seems like every single year, more and more guys are getting injured. More guys are getting, getting so hurt that they're out for the season before it even starts. And it seems like we're on a trajectory where it's not going to stop. And there's so many injuries to the point where your team and a bunch of teams throughout the league are going to be hurt going into the week or into the season or even halfway through the year. You're decimated by injuries already. We've been going down a bad pathway, and no one seems to understand the reason why. So now you're adding another 2 weeks on top of the 17 weeks. That's a problem because why? You might not have a team by the 19th week, and that doesn't even count playoffs if you make playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, and if you look at some of those games, though, too, do you then see some of these teams that might have clinched early resting their guys a few more times, few more games than you see some of the backups
3 weeks
in those
ahead.
ones. Absolutely.
If you're locked in the playoffs, if I'm a coach, I might lose a seed or two, but I'm going to rest my guys because who knows, those next 3 games, your quarterback is done.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or your number 1 receiver is done for the rest of the season, or somebody that's really important to your organization, or even a bunch of guys. It could be 2 or 3 of them that get injured in that game, and they're not injured like long term, but just enough to miss the playoffs.
That can affect a bunch of different things. I mean, if you see some of these fantasy owners too, of fantasy football, again having their championship game even a week prior now to the last week because they're afraid of that type of issue of the starters not being there, so it affects their team there. But then also, if you look at the league again, which they've already kind of expanded the playoffs so far here, and John Turner, I think, has brought up this fact that he thought that the Super Bowl would then turn into President's Day weekend and push back just another week or so and keep moving forward. So then you would even perhaps, at least state people would have the President's Day off too as well, right after the NFL the Super Bowl Sunday. So then that would play into that whole make it a whole weekend party type of deal. So I mean, that could be effective there too. But I mean, overall, I think that's a decent idea as long as you're adding the extra bye week.
I think it's a terrible idea.
I think it's something that they're going to definitely look into, and it could possibly happen. He says also, you think fantasy football players would be happy with a second bye? They'd protest on Roger Goodell's front lawn. See, and then we just brought that up. So,
I think the biggest problem with that is not. We don't want the season to be so long to where, like I was saying, you're already getting catastrophic amount of injuries. If we're pushing it that much farther, that just means more opportunities to be injured before your playoff teams or maybe a team that sneaks in is kind of limping into the playoffs, and you're not going to have a good product for the postseason.
Right.
And that's a problem.
Yeah, like he's talking about when you have your fantasy team, you kind of, well, sometimes you look at your bye weeks that you have, you're like, well, these are my main starters. If I have to put him in or miss him this week, I'll just plug this guy in real quick. But all of a sudden, if you have to plan for like a 2-week type of deal down this week here, or then further down on this one, it's a little more negotiating and things like that, where you might lose them a few more times now. So
I mean,
it's a more jumbling.
It's part of it.
It is, and that's why I don't play fantasy football anymore. It's too frustrating. I don't need this crap. I don't need any more frustration in my life.
It's not frustrating at all.
I'm already frustrated about the world right now, so I don't need fantasy football on top of it.
No big deal. Overblown. Next topic, we got a Super Sunday slate.
What does that mean?
That's it. This is what it means. So you got the Sunday slate on Sundays. That means all the games that you're going to see that day. So they start at 1 o'clock. You got a game at 4:30 or so. Then you have a night game. That's your slate for Sunday. They're talking about having a Super Sunday slate. Now this is absolutely asinine idea.
So
by
not
the
on
way.
Super Bowl day.
So no. This is all on Sunday. But they're saying more international games, so you can have a game at 9:30 a.m. You know what I mean? If you're on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, you'd have the 9:30 game. Then it goes into the 1 o'clock game, which goes into the 4:30 game, which goes into the night game. So you have more games throughout the day. It's football literally all day long and into the night. And, that's what they're saying. But, here's the problem is, to be honest with you, football, you got to stop pushing these teams and making them go across seas when we all know that they don't want to. They don't want to. It's a whole big ordeal for an organization to not only plan all this, but also the owner's got to pay all that money to send everybody over there with their equipment. They have to have a certain spot where they can practice and everything all week leading up to the game, and some of them do it differently. Some of them wait till midweek.
Like during the season, not even like playoffs. They're talking about that just during the season have a day like that.
Well, no, because you're not getting in the playoffs. You're not going to have them overseas.
Yeah. I was going to say because that would affect them a lot.
But the thing is that's a problem. Like the players are already upset at even traveling that far to play one game, and you got to come right back. And not to mention it affects certain teams. So if you're a team on the West Coast and you got to travel across the U.S. plus across the pond to get to where you need to go, I mean, you got a lot of jet lag going on, and you're one of those teams other than like an East Coast team where it's 10 hours or so, it's a long journey, but still, you might not be as exhausted as these other teams that are coming from the West Coast, and it affects the game. We've seen sloppy European games where it was like, wow, that looks like they never got off the airplane. They look like they're still sleeping out there.
Maybe that's why they send the Jaguars all the time, because you can't really tell the difference when they play. They're always sloppy.
I mean, they're still, right? Yeah. They're still tired, but it's like, I understand, like, fans over there, they love our sport and everything, and they want to see it, but it's like,
it's not like
is it really? It's not the premier performance that you want to put on the football field all the time. So it's definitely got to take an effect. I disagree with the idea. I think it's
I don't like it either, just because even
too much
for me, even too. I can't exactly on my schedule just get up and watch it all day long and pay attention to it. For me, I need to be able to set my schedule aside and be able to watch it when I can.
Yeah. So I mean, the next topic that they had is expanding the international series into non-NFL cities. So, like, you wouldn't have it at these big city venues anymore. They wanted to go to the different places altogether. So instead of going to Germany, they want you to go, I don't know, to Singapore or something. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they want you to go somewhere where it's not like a big-time major city, which I understand if you're trying to expand, you're trying to spread and get more fans and everything, but here's a problem with that. If it's not a big NFL city, 9 times out of 10, they don't have big enough venues to hold a crowd and to hold 2 professional NFL football teams and all their equipment and their staff, and I don't think it would work. I think the NFL would be too big for some
John says the
non-NFL
Rams
cities.
will play in Sydney.
Yes. Too much traveling. Way too much.
It's for them. They can just go that way, though. They just go from the Pacific to the Pacific that way. So maybe they'll do a Japan game too. How about that? Just jump,
terrible,
hop across.
Never.
Who knows? Chargers will play anywhere. Maybe they'll just become the Sydney team altogether, right?
Yeah, I don't see it happening. It's a terrible idea.
All right, so is that all of them?
And then we have an annual Christmas slate.
Now, what is that? Just a
game
double header for Christmas every
a
single game?
A game every single Christmas, which I disagree with.
Why? What do you think about that?
Because it's a holiday for a
Rams
lot
are
of
splitting
people.
Japan and Sydney. There you go.
And
4 different German cities to host games. There you go.
Yeah.
I was thinking Germany, too. Yeah, the German games. That's right.
I still disagree with it. But
Mike Tackett would be all over that.
Huh?
Mike Tackett would be all over that.
Yeah.
All right. So it's Christmas games. Christmas games. I like it. Why don't you like it?
I don't like it because it's a time to be with your family.
I
and
get
there's
that.
a lot of people that do. I mean, a ton of people, especially Americans. There's a lot of Americans, not all, but a lot of Americans do, celebrate it, and it's an important time, of the year where a lot of families get together and stuff like that, and it's a religious holiday. So I feel like forcing players that maybe maybe they're super religious and disgruntled because they're going to have to go and play Sunday, Christmas Day or whatever. I mean, I don't know. Like, I just think it
Holy Santa
shouldn't be
Claus
making people, forcing them to play on a holiday, like a religious holiday.
Yeah, because the one thing is Thanksgiving when some of them do and stuff, but they give them the old turkey to eat and dinner and stuff like that, which is even kind of fine, I guess. And some people find it cool, but I'm sure some of the players don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. A lot of them
when
don't.
they have to do and be away from their families. The NBA, Jeremy Clute says, holds games on Christmas. Everyone is home and would be great ratings.
Not everyone's home,
that's
though.
what I mean. Well, not everyone is home. That's right.
Yeah, there's
not
always
everyone.
a
There are
team
people
visiting.
Well, not even the teams. I'm saying everyone that's viewing. I think he's looking at it as a fan. And not everyone is home still, too, because they're visiting family or whatever and stuff.
Yeah,
but I think
no.
what he gets, again, that's what they're maybe trying to do. Everybody's home chilling with their family possibly, or out chilling with their family. Got the TV on. Check out. There you go. There's a TV on in a home. Yeah, and watching the game. That's why I kind of looked at it. I'm like, that would be interesting. That'd be fun to do.
Yeah, but I'm thinking it as a player.
As a player, I can hear that too.
Games.
Again, maybe that would be something that's worked into the CBA when it moves forward or something like that. Like they might get some other incentive or who knows. But those are just a couple of different ideas. Some of them I think are pretty cool. Some of them again are a little extreme.
I think a lot of them are ridiculous.
And
most of
out
them
of the ordinary.
I like a couple of them, but after all that, it doesn't make sense.
All right, definitely. All right, but what's not out of the ordinary? It's the great job that our friends at Paul Perry Kitchens does, Joe. One of the sponsors coming back from last season. They're back, Joe. They're back again. And let me tell you, Paul Perry Kitchens is your local company specializing in kitchen design, cabinetry, countertops, renovations, and now they have a new location which offers custom closets and glass doors. Both are located in Freeman's Bridge Road in Scotia, Glenville, New York. PPK prides itself in above and beyond customer satisfaction. It makes it their obligation to make sure that the entire process from start to finish is enjoyable and hassle-free. From the first meeting to the final review, Paul Perry Kitchens Associates will be there every step of the way, guiding you to make the right decisions so that your next kitchen, bathroom, or closet is a reflection of you. Check them out at paulperrykitchens.com or call them at 518-688-0898, Joe. That's right, Paul Perry Kitchens. Excited to have them back with us. And we also have some other exciting sponsorships coming on later on this month before the season starts, Joe. But A lot of news. Can't wait to get out there and do some live shows with everybody too. How about that, Joe?
Yeah.
All right. So next, we've got we're bringing back an old segment that we haven't done in a while, and it's around fantasy time too. So we're kicking back into this. There's not a whole lot of them, but we're gonna do some keep or sweep fantasy rookies here. So there we go. We're gonna be sweeping it away. Let's take a look at the list. These are all the rookies here that we think, are the top offensive ones here that may have a chance to sneak into your fantasy lineups. It's a possibility.
The difference with this list, though, is unlike any other rookies that were drafted years prior, this is the first year where the majority were defensive players. So we had to take from not only the first round, which was only 6 receivers drafted, and Kenny Pickett, the quarterback.
Right.
So we took first and second round just to kind of give us a little bit of a list. Otherwise, we're going to be done real quick with 7.
Right. A lot of defensive been taken, especially even early on too, Joe. So again, looking at these guys. Who will creep into your fantasy team. So there we go. We're going to play a little keep or sweep here. Let's take a look at the first one here. Atlanta Falcons, Drake London here, wide receiver. They needed one, especially with what's going on with Calvin Ridley, went on a hiatus and stuff, and then had that gambling issue to where they really relied heavily on Cordarrelle Patterson, had a revival of his career there for Atlanta. So what do you think about Drake London possibly sneaking into some of these people's maybe a sleeper pick?
Well, the other thing, too, is Patterson's not even a receiver there.
Yeah,
he's a running
right?
back.
Yeah, I know.
So he had a little change of position, and he's kind of flourished there, as such. So going to Drake London here, this is a rookie coming out. He was heavily seen as a first-round draft pick, a guy with a lot of potential, needed to work on a few things. But if I'm being completely honest, this is going to be a team that was already in desperate need of this position. So Drake London is going to definitely be the starter there because they don't have anybody else besides Kyle Pitts at tight end / receiver. And, it's going to be interesting because they have a new quarterback. Matt Ryan's no longer there. Now they have Marcus Mariota, who they signed in free agency, who has already been officially labeled as the starter going into the season. And Desmond Ridder, the rookie that they drafted, they have high hopes for him. They really like what they see, but they say he's just not quite ready yet. So Drake London, for me, is a keeper because he is going to be a starter. So he is going to have definitely fantasy relevance right off the start from week 1.
All right. Let's take a look at the list again. New York Jets, Garrett Wilson. Again, they were in dire need of a wide receiver, too, as well. Great first-round draft, and even draft all together for them. So they're looking really excited about this next coming year and really dodged a bullet with Zach Wilson on that injury possibly, too. Everybody looked at it possibly a torn ACL, but then now we know it's just a bone bruise and a meniscus.
Yeah, a lot of people were scared because he got carted off the field.
It was a non-contact injury, Yeah,
because what happens is when a player gets carted off, it's deemed as pretty serious. You know what I mean? You don't get carted off just because you pull a hamstring. Going with Garrett Wilson now, they needed some help in that area, and they get one of the best, in my opinion, if not the best, coming out in the draft, in Garrett Wilson, who does everything extremely well. So as long as he can get the playbook down, I feel like he's going to be a difference maker for them. He's not going to be elite right away. He's not going to be like the upper echelon of wide receivers his rookie year, but he's going to be impactful at times, and I think it's going to show, every so often. So for Garrett Wilson, to me, he's going to be a starter. He's going to be a keeper for me because whenever you get a starting caliber type of player at any given position in fantasy, you got to go get them. So he has a lot of untapped potential, much like Drake London. And with the current scenario, we've heard that Zach Wilson is coming back between 2 to 4 weeks. That is a sigh of relief for Jet fans and fantasy owners out there.
All right, that sounds good. All right, next we got the New Orleans Saints, and they went ahead and got Chris Olave, and a team where last year I think they were with the injury to Michael Thomas. We were kind of struggling to see who might be like that guy, that main wide receiver for them, and it just wasn't there. It was Callaway at times. It was a different performer, like kind of every year, and or every week. And now Jameis Winston, we're still even trying to figure out if he is going to be their true starter moving forward for them. At least not just starter, but is he their franchise guy that they can hang with for a while? I mean, correcting mistakes that he had made back when he was with Tampa Bay. And he looked pretty good when he was out there last year. So can he be effective as a quarterback for these wide receivers and give any of these guys even that kind of value like a Chris Olave.
And that's the thing with Jameis Winston. Like, most likely he is going to be deemed the starter. He's been there the longest. He has the most chemistry with everybody, and he already knows kind of what they're going to do on offense. So Andy Dalton up to this point has been learning the playbook, and I think that Winston might be just an edge ahead of him, so he might end up taking that job. But with Chris Olave coming in as a rookie, a team that was in dire straits of needing a wide receiver. They lost Michael Thomas last season. He's back healthy now, so that's going to bolster that receiving core. And on top of it, they grabbed the speedster Chris Olave from Ohio State. This is something exciting for Saints fans because now they get Thomas back. They get Chris Olave, who was deemed as one of the better receivers to take in the draft. And they've already seen flashes already at camp of Chris Olave just hitting the gas pedal and flying by everybody and catching these bombs in the end zone. So a lot of excitement in Saints camp behind Chris Olave. So he's going to be starting. There's no reason why not to think that he's shown flashes. So for me, he's definitely a keeper in fantasy. But just like all these other rookies, he's another potential type of guy that you might have that you might want to take not so early, because I know that the tendency for a lot of fantasy owners is they get excited and they're like, I love this kid, I want him, and they end up taking him in the third round or something, or second round, a little bit too early for them because you really don't know what you're getting in terms of a player on the football field.
John Turner says C.J. Stroud is going to the Saints next year, reuniting with Olave. And then he says, my sleeper for the year, Raise Energy. Their new flavor, South Beach, is fire. Actually, South Beach is an older flavor. They've had that for a while, but it is pretty good.
Appreciate
and there you
it
go.
with
If
the
you
little-
haven't yet, go to repsports.com, Raise Energy, hit the promo code, or type in the promo code, Raise Them Up, RAZEMUP. That is our specific promo code. That could save you some cash next time you get some South Beach there, John Turner.
Yeah, you save 15% off there, buddy.
Yeah, there you go. I am drinking the berries and cream. This is a newer flavor.
Semi. It's semi-new.
Like, it's still, if you think about it, it's like, early, like,
because they
within
come out
a year. Yeah,
and that's the thing, is they come out with a lot of different flavors all the time. I mean, I saw a new one. I went on the website recently just to kind of browse and see what else they got. They had one that was like a iced tea one.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And I was like, ooh, that sounds good. But this Raise company, they're absolutely amazing. It's one of the healthier energy drinks that you can drink. No dyes. It's got electrolytes, amino acids, all kinds of great stuff for you, and keeps you energetic without the crash. So no BS. This stuff is legit.
Thank you for that extra plug there, John Turner. We appreciate it. Next up, who we got here? We've got the Detroit Lions and Jamison Williams here again, who's in the draft. His stock kind of fell a little bit due to injury and stuff, but look at the Detroit Lions go ahead and snag him up, and now we're looking at that Lions team, especially now we get to see them through Hard Knocks in a different light. We love their head coach and the energy that they're bringing, and you've got the quarterback there too. So he would love a lot of weapons there for him, because they didn't have so many last year.
Well, the offense is looking really good. The problem is that their defense is kind of lacking still. Like, they've had a good draft this past draft. They got a lot of defensive help, but they're still not there yet. So offensive side, it looks like they're more ready to take on teams, but defense is still going to be a little bit lacking. So you got to take that into consideration. Jamison Williams, I think, if he was healthy, I'll put it this way. If he was 100% healthy coming into this draft, he was going to be my number one receiver, hands down. The guy has everything you need in a receiver, much like Garrett Wilson, but he's a little faster than Garrett. So I think the world of Jameis Williams, but the problem is when he may or may not even be ready for week one. They've already kind of undecided on when exactly he's going to be coming back and playing. So I would take this I would say this way. To me, he would be a keeper, and not to sweep him away, but I would really try to push and hold out as long as I can to take him in the late rounds. When you're like the last 4 or 5 rounds, and maybe pull the trigger on him then. When you're drafting depth, and
you get value pick maybe later on.
And if you really like him, take him in the later rounds, last 4 or 5 rounds, and That way you can kind of stash him on your bench, and then when he comes back and he's ready and he's playing, you can kind of assess to see where he is. And if he's making an impact, then you can put him in your lineup.
All right, there you go. And now we've got the Washington Commanders. I actually got it right this time. All right, the
Good job,
Jahan
buddy.
Dodson
Proud of
here,
you.
wide receiver for them. But that's kind of a loaded wide receiver core right there. So what do you think about this guy here cracking somebody's fantasy
Jahan
team?
Dodson has been doing great in camp, and he's been kind of really impressing coaches with his route running ability. The one knock on him coming out of college was that he didn't have as consistent hands at times. Like, yes, he has good hands, but it seems like you seem to see him in college make all these difficult catches with no problem. But then it was like a lot of the easy ones where he was more wide open. It seemed like he would drop those, maybe lack of focus or whatever. But he's going to correct that, I feel like, in the NFL. So with better coaching, with him to kind of concentrate, don't have to worry about school anymore, just concentrate on football. I think he's going to make him a better player. And I think he's going to be inserted into the starting lineup on week 1. I think he's done enough in camp to show the Commanders that he is ready to go and he wants to prove himself, has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. So I like Jahan Dodson. I liked him out of college, and I'm going to keep him as well. I think, you also got to remember that because these guys are rookies, they're not proven.
Right,
we don't know
right.
how good or how bad they're going to end up being. So try to, kind of tamper expectations when you go into your draft.
Right. And that's when we bring up these keep and sweep fantasies. You see, they're fantasy rookies. So, again, the rookies, some of them you can maybe bank on, again, depending on quarterback or even position, or even the wide receiving group that's there. Are they going to be able to even see the field as much? Who's throwing to them? Things like that. How effective will they be? So, again, you got to kind of gauge it with the way you're planning out your team with your draft altogether. And if they're theirs, later rounds, again, you got your depth, you've got spots, in your bench. Throw one out there. See what happens. He might be a nice keeper for you out there. So, all right, next we've got the Tennessee Titans and Treylon Burks here, wide receiver for them. And again, they made that trade during the draft, which was kind of crazy. That blew everybody away during the draft here. But they go and now fill in another wide receiver spot to where they had that vacancy. And Treylon Burks, Joe, now tied together here with Ryan Tannehill. What do you think about him and his chances?
Yeah, I mean, everybody kind of saw what was happening, right? A.J. Brown all of a sudden gets traded to the Eagles.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, wait, who they trade? They traded A.J.? Mm-hmm. Wow. Now they have no receivers. So it's like no Julio Jones because he left for free agency, now a Tampa Bay Buck. And all of a sudden you trade away your best commodity on offense besides Derrick Henry. Oh, my God. I mean, so you knew that with the pick that they were going to have, it had to be receiver.
Yeah, right.
And they fell in love with Treylon Burks. The thing with Treylon Burks, coming out of college is like he's seen as a very similar body type and receiver as a Deebo Samuel. So a guy that he ran in college. He also played receiver in college. He played both. So that's what I feel like Tennessee was looking at. They're like, oh, he's got a sturdy body. He's physical. He's, impressive. He can run the ball. Maybe we can do some trick plays with him. So they go ahead and they fell in love with Treylon Burks. He's not the fastest guy, but he does run really great routes, has great hands. So I hope, I wish the best for him, but you're going to a team now that just has you as a rookie. So I really don't know. I think I'm going to sweep on Burks, but not because of his potential, but because of his surrounding, cast around him. Sweep. I do like Robert Woods. He's a veteran receiver. He's also there. That's going to help him out. But Burks, I'm just not 100% sure how he's going to work out in the NFL because he may at times have trouble getting separation. And that's kind of one thing that I have a concern of. So for me, he's going to be a sweep for me. Don't hate me. I do like Burks, but I just don't know with this Titans offense because they do run a lot. That's the other thing too, is, since they run a lot and stuff, I don't know if he's going to get the opportunities to be as much of an impact player.
There you go. Now we've got the Green Bay Packers and Christian Watson here, wide receiver, to where, again, now Aaron Rodgers came out and saying, these wide receivers, keep running the wrong routes, making mistakes and things like that. They have to get their stuff together. What does that mean for Christian Watson here?
Not only just running the wrong routes, but also dropping the football.
Yeah.
So Christian Watson was, the highly touted, big-time 6'4", chiseled muscle, type of wide receiver that he is. and had speed to burn on top of it. So it's like that combination you don't normally find, and the Packers were thrilled to get him. However,
get down on your knees and
there is a problem. The problem is him coming out of college, he's not a very good route runner, and he does have inconsistent hands at times. So, and this is what Aaron Rodgers is alluding to. The one guy that I would almost kind of have above Christian Watson. I know Watson's still a rookie, but for me, I'm just going to say right now, I'm going to sweep on Watson because we don't know where he's going to be placed on this roster. I mean, you look at the Packers right now, and they're talking, they're absolutely loving Allen Lazard right now. They're thinking that he could be a number one receiver for them. Rodgers, it's one of his favorite targets. He's comfortable with him. And then you have another rookie by the name of Romeo Doubs, who is kind of lighting up training camp right now, is more impressive than Christian Watson or Watkins. So that being said, I just think that, maybe Doubs might be so impressive that he leapfrogs, Watkins. And then, who knows? Like maybe he doesn't even get to play at all this year. You know what I mean? There's a possibility that happens. Now, I think the Packers are going to push him to get him into the lineup, obviously, get him some reps and stuff like that.
Next up, we've got for the New York Jets, they go out and get Breece Hall there early in the draft, too, which was a nice steal for them, too, on top of this. So, last year they had Carter there in the backfield again, but, it was good at times here, but not really impressive enough. Like, again, to have Breece Hall there, Fulton where they was, it was a great pickup for them. So now you got to think that it's got to be their guy here.
Absolutely. I mean, you don't take the guy with your high second round pick and he's not going to get any playing time. Michael Carter, I was against that pick from day one when they made it, and you saw. I mean, I understand he was a rookie, but he didn't look like he had it. You know what I mean? Like usually when you see a running back, and even in his rookie year, you could see some sense of a burst or some sense of great ball carrying vision and all that. Like all these different attributes that running backs have. Much like a Le'Veon Bell who has patience in his runs and stuff like that. And that's kind of what leads to these bigger chunk plays. So Carter didn't have that. He didn't have that it factor. So Breece Hall, to me, has that it factor. He's a guy that can do everything extremely well. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He can block for you. He can run routes. He can run and make people miss. He can also truck people. So Breece Hall coming in, yes, he's going to need a little bit of development just like any other rookie. However, for me, he's a keeper, and I think he's going to be the starter week one, hands down. Not even close.
Boom. There you go. Yeah, that's good, especially with the thinning lines, I guess, of running backs in these for the fantasy drafts these days. It's kind of harder because a lot of these teams are going that dual back type of setup. So for a team that needs to be solely on one kind of running back, you really got to get them early, or then start thinking about switching to what good wide receiver you might need here to draft early in that first round.
Yeah, because when you look at it, there's a few teams that still do that featured back, style,
right?
Like Tennessee with Derrick Henry, a lot of the bigger names. Like even if you go to Cleveland, where they have two really good running backs, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, you know that Nick Chubb is going to get the bulk of the load. So maybe keep an eye on that too to see who's getting more involved in the offense or what have you. Because even though there's that running back by committee approach, there's still always one of the three or one of the two that are going to get the bulk of the touches.
And talk about a team that likes to run the ball and do it well. We got Kenneth Walker here, the third running back for the Seattle Seahawks, where we just got to see Chris Carson walk away from the game too. So they were definitely ready for a new running back here. So what do you think about his chances here, Joe?
Yeah, and that's the thing too is like I'm going to be honest with you. Breece Hall I had as my number 2 back. I had Kenneth Walker the third as my number 1 back. And the reason for that is because it's opinion based. And I like guys that are a little bit more brolicker at running back, guys that can kind of run right through you and keep going, like a Marshawn Lynch-esque type of back. So Kenneth Walker, I see that in him. And I see a guy, he can make you miss, he can run through you, he can do everything extremely well. Recent reports right now is that he's going to be coming back from hernia surgery. I think he just had a successful hernia surgery yesterday, and he'll be ready to go. You know what I mean, for the season. And it already sounds like at a Seattle camp that Kenneth Walker has the edge over Rashad Penny for that lead back role. However, they're both going to play. You talked about running back by committee. Well, this is going to be kind of like a 2-back system where they're both going to get touches and everything, but I think that Walker is going to get the majority, and that to me is my keeper for Seattle.
There you go. I'm falling behind in the chat. We've got, Mike Tackett in the house with
Keep
us
your
tonight.
mouth on the mic.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, sorry. I have to read buttons at the same time here. Mike Tackett's with us. He says, going back to the Christian Watson, he says, as a Packers fan, Watson scares me. He's not a good route runner, and he's injury prone.
Yep.
And then he says, Breece Hall shows me glimpses of Marshall Faulk. If only he had the same supporting cast, though, too, as well.
Right.
Yeah, Marshall Faulk.
Right.
I mean, yeah, he was on some great teams. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and that's the thing for like a Jets fan, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they were projected to have a pretty solid line for once, you know what I mean? They drafted Mekhi Becton, then he goes down. He's done for the year yet again. That boy's got to get in the lose some weight there. He's carrying way too much. But they still have Elijah Vera Tucker, and they bring in Dwayne Brown now. He's officially signed with them. But I'm kind of wondering what they're going to do with Dwayne Brown. Like I would hope that they're not going to try to switch him to right tackle. He's going to come in at left, but now you still have a void at right, with the loss of Mekhi Becton. So with that loss, like there's other veteran free agents that are still out there that you can kind of plug and play for your team, and maybe it won't be a lost cause yet for the Jets. So we'll wait and see if the Jets actually do that and kind of fill that hole there. But I mean, they would have to, right? Now that they know that Zach Wilson, they got good news on him. He is coming back. He is going to be the quarterback. Now it's like, now you should get on the phone and start calling some of these veteran free agents to replace what you lost there at right tackle.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move on now to the New York Giants, and they have Wan'Dale Robinson, which that's probably one of the positive kind of glimpses we've heard from camp up here in New York here from the Giants camp. Besides that, it's looking pretty grim, and what we've seen even over the preseason so far. Again, offense not working so good, and to where everybody's questioning Daniel Jones and what's going on there, because now Tyrod Taylor's put some more reps in with the first team. But again, what do you think of Wan'Dale Robinson, Joe?
Wan'Dale Robinson, he was one of my sleepers coming into the draft. I do like the kid. But again, just like what Mike Tackett was alluding to, is like, supporting cast. Well, there's not a very great supporting cast there in the Giants right now. Nobody seems to be waking up. Daniel Jones is struggling. It looks honestly, it looks like Tyrod Taylor is likely to be the starter, because at least he's not making as many mistakes as Daniel Jones and is still impressing. So Wan'Dale Robinson is going to be one of those, little flickers of light that the Giants have, and they're going to be able to maybe utilize him. But again, if you're the only receiver that's going to make any kind of noise, that it's not going to go well for you in the long term of the season, because now teams are going to be focused on you and trying to stop you, and that means everyone else has got to step up. So for me, this is a sweep, but it's only because the Giants are still rebuilding that receiving core. It doesn't seem like anybody's stepping up as of yet, but still there's some time that maybe they kind of flip the switch and wake up. We hope, right? You're a Giants fan. You better hope that happens.
I hope, but then again, you're looking at it, it's like, yes, they want to win, new regime in there, but again, next year's quarterbacks we're looking forward to maybe,
You're definitely, not maybe. Looking.
Maybe we want to, we're not going to tank, but I think our draft position we would like to keep fairly.
I don't think you're going to tank.
High, so,
No,
maybe
you're not
we
gonna
can
tank.
get some of those good guys. But here we go. Next, we've got the Houston Texans and John Mechie Jr., or John Mechie III, rather, wide receiver here. So what do you think about that with the Houston Texans?
John Mechie, I really like, his route running. He's got great hands, but he's a little slower on the slow side. So, and not mentally. It's his speed. So the Houston Texans, they go ahead and they get a kind of like a steal. Like he was picked in the middle rounds. And I do like him. I like what he can do. I just don't know if he's going to get enough opportunity his first year as a rookie. We do know that they also got like Nico Collins they really liked, and Brandon Cooks is still stuck in Houston, so he's going to be the other starter, the go-to guy that they have. And so I just think that with not as much opportunity as I think he'll get, I think it's a sweep for me because of that.
Yeah. I mean, that to be the one thing out of anybody for Houston who really does get drafted on the fantasy team. It's got to probably be Brandon Cooks at this point, you would think, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing too, is it depends how deep your league is. So if like you go into where you have a bigger bench, then maybe you can pick up maybe a Nico Collins later on, and who knows, maybe he kind of flourishes in that number 2 role.
Right. Yep. All right. So next up, we've got the New England Patriots and Tyquan Thornton, wide receiver there for them. And again, that's another team, too, that has been kind of next man up, wide receiver. You don't get it done. They moved on from N'Keal Harry. He's gone, but now he's even banged up. So with a different team. So they're looking for that guy, and Jacoby Myers has been pretty good for him again, but it's not, it's the Patriots. It's a different guy every week. There's not a real big starter here. So, but what's the real likelihood that this guy can sneak into somebody's lineup?
Tyquan Thornton, he's a blazing fast receiver, but a guy with he's definitely inconsistent with his hands. So Bill Belichick is not going to like it if he drops a football from time to time. But just nothing against him. But I think he's entering a very crowded receiving core that's already kind of been established. They do 2 tight end sets, but it's going to be different because Josh McDaniels is no longer the offensive coordinator, and most of their offensive staff is gone. So right now, the Patriots don't even know who their OC is going to be. Could be Matt Patricia, who's been making all the calls in preseason, but they still don't know. There's no official word as of yet. So, and Tyquan Thornton coming into a very crowded type of, you bring up Jacoby Myers. Nelson Aguilar is not being traded. They've already said that. So he's going to stay there. Kendrick Bourne. So they got some receivers that they're going to use. And Tyquan Thornton is going to be utilized once in a while as like a change-up type of receiver, but not enough opportunities for me to see him on the football field routinely, so it's a sweep.
There you go. All right, getting towards the bottom end of this one. So we've got, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, we've got George Pickens here, wide receiver for them. And again, that's a wide receiving core where you try and look at, like, what do they really have?
They're trying to find more.
Well, yeah, well, you got they just gave Deontay Johnson there, his deal. And again, like with whatchamacallit on the other side of him, Chase Claypool, their bigger deep threat that they've done on occasion. Where's he going to fit in the side of these with a Mitch Trubisky too at quarterback? Again, a lot of people not really confident in Mitch. He's still looked good so far in camp that we're hearing. We're kind of big fans of him too, because we think that he has a good opportunity to do some things here with this franchise that's really has not been bad. And the last time that they finished last in the division was 1988. So this is how good this franchise has been.
Right.
So what kind of guy? Well, what kind of a season could this guy have?
George Pickens, from Georgia. Some people, he was getting slighted a little bit in the for the upcoming draft, and they're like, "Oh, he's a character concern. He's a problem." But the talent is off the charts. He has size, he has speed, he has hands, and you're kind of seeing flashes of that already in Steeler camp. He's caught multiple touchdowns in a couple preseason games. Team is really liking what they see from him so far, and he could end up playing himself right into a starting role, because when you think about the receiving core right now, who's in front of him it's like every man for themselves for that third spot, because Deontay Johnson, is a lock to start, since especially they gave him a new deal. Chase Claypool has been a starter. He's not going nowhere. So they need somebody to step up in that third role. Now, whether that be in the slot or outside, we'll wait and see how that happens, because we know that typically Deontay Johnson has been in the slot quite often. So, but I think the world of George Pickens. I think he's doing a great job in camp. He's impressing the coaches, and they like what they see so far. So for me, I think I'm going to end up taking him, and I'm going to keep him. George Pickens, I really like his upside, and I think as long as he keeps trending upwards with the coaches in the offense and learning the scheme, that I think that the sky's the limit for him. So he could be a real dramatically type of player. But again, I'm going to reiterate and say, just because they're rookies and you might fall in love with them, that doesn't mean you push them up the fantasy draft board and take them too early. Take these guys a little bit later, mid to late rounds, and that way you can kind of put them in your lineup if they work out.
Yeah, absolutely. Just again, the whole list, and when we go through this thing again too, it's just kind of, if you guys haven't done a lot of your fantasy homework and stuff like that, and you're looking down your cheat sheet and stuff like that, and some of these guys are falling down further and they're around, maybe you want to take a crack at some of these guys later on. So, all right, now we've got the last few here. Where are we at? Alec Pierce here, wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts. Now Matt Ryan at the helm for Indianapolis. I think Colts fans are rejoicing right now because he even looks pretty good. But he's really getting along with these wide receivers too, Joe. Really having a grand old time there.
I mean, when you have a good quarterback like Matt Ryan, it doesn't take much to get the chemistry going. I mean, let's face it. Like, I know Matt Ryan is taking a lot of criticism when he was in Atlanta and stuff like that. Okay. Some people blame him for losing the Super Bowl. Some people blame him for losing some games in that thing, throwing too many picks or what have you. But the guy's done a lot of really good stuff, too, on the football field that people kind of overlook. So Matt Ryan, this is like a godsend for Matt Ryan to be traded to the Colts, which has a
This might up his value in fantasy, too.
Premier offensive line. He also gets to throw to Michael Pittman Jr., who is on the rise, and Alec Pierce was one of my sleepers. I actually had him kind of quite high. He was in my top 10 coming out of the draft. This dude is a difference maker. Not only does he have size and he's tall, but he has speed, he has hands, he has it all. So this is a guy who I think is going to come in. He's going to really push for not only playing time, but he could also insert himself into that number 2 role opposite Michael Pittman Jr. So for me, Alec Pierce is a guy that I absolutely love, and he's a keeper for me. I know some people might not be familiar with him, but go ahead and look at that Cincinnati football team that Desmond Ridder was the quarterback of. Alec Pierce was one of his favorite targets.
There you go. Now, next we've got the Kansas City Chiefs, who, again, we just saw McCole Hardman get charted off the field now. So they're running out of wide receivers, I think, at this point for Patrick Mahomes, to where, who knows, maybe you start that conversation, if the money's right, if he takes the deal, that they bring in Odell Beckham Jr. to the Kansas City Chiefs too. How about that?
The only problem is that the Chiefs do not have a lot of money, so it won't work.
So it'd have to be, they'd have to do something. But.
That's the thing; it won't work. Yep. They've already shelled that money at that position, and to bring guys in and drafted like a guy like Sky Moore. So this is an opportunity for Sky Moore to step up, maybe. But we still got to hear the finer details of why he was carted off. I know that he had injured his left leg in a jump ball. It was a jump ball for a touchdown. When he came down awkwardly, and then he was limping off the field. So then went to the cart, basically. So usually that doesn't mean any good news is going to come of it, but he did limp. There is that. So maybe it's not as serious. Maybe it just needs some time to rest. We'll wait to hear tomorrow is when we're going to probably get the final word on it, the official word. But Sky Moore, that gives him an opportunity to step up in the depth chart. Maybe he could kind of push himself to be a starter and replace Mecole Hardman. So, but because of the uncertainty of it, because we don't know if Mecole's done yet, to me, Sky Moore is a sweep for me.
Gotta sweep.
All right, here we go. The last two. We got Trey McBride, the only tight end we have on this list here, Joe, for the Arizona Cardinals, which, again, they've had a few wide receivers go away from this team here, and some other weapons that they had moved on with other teams. But, again, and a tight end, which they even have Zach Ertz on still, too, and he's been able to perform for this team to where he's kept his career going. So where do we see Trey McBride in this whole thing?
And that's the other thing, too, is Trey McBride, for me, was the number 1 tight end coming out, and a guy that has extreme athleticism and speed. He's not the tallest tight end, but, man, can he make play on the football? He can high point the ball. He's got ups. He's got that. He can block. He's got a lot of attributes that you like in tight ends coming out of Colorado State. I love the kid. However, I really don't know what his role is going to be with the Cardinals. I would say, like, if Zach Ertz was gone and he didn't return to Arizona, then obviously he would be starting. But with these receivers that they have, and they'd run this kind of like a spread offense, shotgun offense, and I don't see them using the tight end a heck of a lot. So Trey McBride is definitely going to be under Zach Ertz, so because of that, he's a sweep for me.
Sweep.
And it's not because of his potential or what he could become, but it's because of the uncertainty of what his role is actually going to be on that offense. It might be very minuscule all throughout the season, to where, like, it's kind of getting his feet wet type of thing, comes in in the red zone type of thing and catches a couple touchdowns. But I just don't think he'll have the ample opportunity.
All right, and finally here, to round out the list, we've got, for the Buffalo Bills, running back James Cook here, Joe.
James Cook, a guy that a lot of people liked, and, people are going to say, oh, Dalvin Cook. Yeah, he's related to him, believe it or not. Yes, they both share, like, very, very eerily the same measurements, in terms of size. They both are fast and physical type of running back. So James Cook, now with the Buffalo Bills, This team I see as a running back by committee approach. They got a lot of backs there.
Mm-hmm.
They like to utilize all of them. They all bring something different to the table. So James Cook, I'm not sure how often he's going to be utilized, especially as a rookie coming in. But he has impressed some of the Buffalo staff. But I just don't like running back by a committee approaches. So to me, he's a very late draft pick if you're going to take him. But for me, he's a sweep because of opportunity on the football field.
All right, there you go. Fantasy rookies. So again, if you're looking around at your list at the end, you see some of you guys popping up, maybe they're an opportunity to take a look at these guys. So there you go. That's our fantasy rookies. Keep or sweep. All right. You know, we love the keep or sweep segment with Joe. We haven't done that one in a while. And
I know, it's been
nice
a while.
to get back to it. But absolutely. I hope you guys are enjoying the show out there. Thanks so much for joining us. If you haven't yet, join our group, Facebook group, Football on the Know Show. Give us a like on our page, Football on the Know, w/Jim and Joe. Go to YouTube and also hit the notification bell, whenever we go live on YouTube, and hit the subscribe button. Drop a comment, too. What do you think about the show? Whether you like it, you don't, whatever, different things, topics you want us to talk about, too. Let us know there. And also, look for us on Spotify, too, as well, and everywhere you can get your audio versions of the show. So, all right. I want to tell you guys also about our sponsor that return. We have Paul Perry Kitchens that's back with us, but also Colorize, Joe. Colorize, the paint professionals. And they have 3 locations currently still in Clifton Park, Niskayuna, and Queensbury. I kept it a secret, but I'm going to let everybody know now that the new store is popping up soon around here in the capital region. It's going to be near Hudson Valley in Troy, in the East Greenbush, Troy area. That's right. So you guys are getting a Colorized near us right now, too. So I don't have to go up to Niskayuna, Clifton Park, or Queensbury. Queensbury is pretty up there. So I love to go into those shows, but now I'll be able to have one right here, Joe, 8 minutes away from my house. Colorize, the paint professionals. They are a Benjamin Moore dealer, but you know what? They don't just specialize in that. As an independent dealer, they also have access to almost everything paint and finish related, serving everyone from the paint professional to the do-it-yourselfer. Colorize is eager to help, and they will make it everything capable and easy for your next project and make it go a lot smoother. Colorize, the right paint, color, and advice from local professionals who care. mycolorize.com, or check out any of those locations. So, all right, Joe, it's that time of year. We're starting our pick segment a little early here, but we like to get into it, the next couple weeks, spread it out a little bit. But this year, as we're growing our Godzilla Media family here as we go, we're going to include some of their takes on this one too. That's as right. Well. So not only are we going to give you our predictions for the NFC and AFC North, but we're going to give you what some of our guys here who have shows here for Godzilla Media, what they pick. So here we go, Joe. Let's look at the AFC's first pick here. Let's look at these guys. Let's see what they have here. So we have Sean Martin, Brian Cady, and Tom Gozlowski, Goz himself of Godzilla Media. So this is what the picks they have for the AFC North. So it looks like that Sean Martin and Brian Cady on the same page, that they've got the Baltimore Ravens at top, the Bengals. Then they see the Steelers moving up, and now that the Cleveland Browns there finishing last. Now, Goz has just got those last 2 swapped, but they really like the Baltimore Ravens to take the division.
They do, all 3 of them.
And even though the Bengals went there to the Super Bowl last season, and the fact that you think that maybe they're just not sure about what's going on with the Deshaun Watson situation here, that really is affecting how they're looking at the Cleveland Browns here. And, looking at the Steelers here as an organization with Mitch Trubisky there, that maybe there's and that defense is really good too as well, that maybe they're just going to be a little more confident in them.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is because all of us, we're so unsure of what is actually going to take place, because we once thought that Watson, he was deemed innocent, wasn't found guilty in court. Then he goes to civil court, settles all 30, 30 suits against him, and then he gets served a 6-game suspension. So going into the season, you're like, okay, well, he's out for 6 games. When he comes back, he's going to really help this team for the rest of the year, maybe catapult them into a divisional win, or at least come make the playoffs, right? And then all of a sudden the NFL steps in again and says, oh, no, this isn't good enough. We appeal this decision, and we want him out for the year. That's what we want. Really? The guy he hasn't played in over a year and a half already. And then he's did everything the right way, went through the court, went through and did the civil courts and all done. So think the chapter is going to be closed and it's going to be officially ended, and the NFL keeps it going. Now they want to go for him for another year, another season missed. I cannot believe this. This is absolutely ridiculous for the NFL when they've let guys that have done, things that they had evidence against him, and they did heinous things, domestic abuse, accusations and people that were physically getting beaten caught on video. And these guys only got 8 games, 2 games, 4 games, suspensions. You want this guy to not only has he done the right thing, has gone through all the court processes that he needed to go through, trying to clear his name, and has done everything that's asked of him, and now he's given a 6-game suspension, and you say, oh, that's not good enough. We need him gone for at least a year. That's crazy. I can't get behind
You're
that.
disgusting. I'm going to kill you. Give me $200.
So because of that, that's why a lot of people are confused on where Browns kind of sit in this division.
Yeah, but again, even if you look at Gaz's pick, he still got them above the Steelers.
He's giving them the benefit of the doubt.
He's giving them the benefit of the doubt that he trusted even Jacoby Brissett here. But Joe, what do you think about this division? What's your lineup here in this one?
So for this division, I disagree with Baltimore being on top. Listen, what the Bengals were able to accomplish last year with a lackluster offensive line is unprecedented. They didn't belong. They made the playoffs, and everyone's like, all right, well, they made it, whatever, right? They're not going to go any farther than, maybe round 1, maybe round. No, are you kidding me? This team made it all the way to the big dance, and that's impressive for what they were able to do, and they were missing some players. I mean, especially that offensive line was terrible, absolutely terrible, and they were competitive the whole time. So now what did they do? They addressed the weakness. Their biggest weakness was offensive line last year. They went out and they traded for an offensive lineman. They signed 2 other big-time veteran free agents that are going to come in right away, plug-and-play players, along with their draft picks, and that's a lockdown O-line now. I mean, good. You're not going to get to Joe Burrow very often now, and that's dangerous because with that receiving core, with that newly revamped offensive line, and Joe Mixon in the backfield, wow, they're going to put up a lot of points. And then their defense was good last year, and they got even better this year. So I love where the Bengals are really headed. So for me, Bengals number 1. Baltimore's got a lot to prove to me, and it's not Baltimore as the whole team. They got a really good defense. They're another team that has kind of like revamped their offensive line and has improved that. But the receiving core is very unproven. Devin Duvernay and Rashad Bateman are the guys that are going to be starters, and Rashad Bateman was out last year. So technically he's still a rookie. And Devin Duvernay hasn't even really been given too many opportunities to show what he could do. So, and Lamar Jackson, if you remember, down the stretch last season was struggling big time and throwing a ton of picks. So until he kind of corrects that and gets back, where he was as a quarterback, that to me is a little concerning, so that's why I have Baltimore second. And then, real quick, reason why I got the Steelers above the Browns, again, we don't know what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson, and because of that, I think that's going to severely hurt them not having a franchise quarterback leading that team. And the Steelers, I love Mitch. I'm sorry. I like Mitch Trubisky. I think he has a lot to offer this offense, and for the first time in Mike Tomlin's head coaching career, for the Steelers, he's going to have a mobile quarterback that they can do a lot of things and manipulate defenses a little bit. So I like the upside there, and that Steelers defense is crazy good.
There you go. And then here's my picks, too. Along with that, I'm going to agree with Joe on the same thing, too. Again, Bengals, I think got there a little prematurely last year, but again, if they're trending upwards that quickly, I think with the additions again that they've made, especially the offensive line, trying to keep Joe Burrow up and not getting sacked 50 times in a season, that would only help their situation in there and keep him healthy. As far as the Baltimore Ravens, you're about trying to keep Lamar Jackson healthy, and he is willing to play, even though he's been talking about getting a new contract set up here too. And that's dangerous with him. With the moves that he's able to do and get out there and make some big plays, he also lays his body on the line. So that's big. And with as far as the weapons, again, he wasn't even able to really get it to Hollywood Brown that much as well, too. So when he was there, where his biggest target, it's Mark Andrews, who's still there, too. So, I mean, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of difference. You're going to be running first, just like they are, and still pretty decent. But what we saw last year, too, they were skittish. They had just some teams that they should have probably blown out or beat. They lost to or just stay in the game, like the Detroit Lions. And then other teams that really that they try to compete with that were playoff teams, they really didn't step up as much. So they were really tough to gauge there. And these other teams that are in the division are just getting better by the moment. Unfortunately for the Cleveland Browns, the NFL's against them right now. You know what I mean? With what they got going on. But again, two-headed monsters there, running back. They've got some weapons here at wide receiver. Even bringing in Amari Cooper too. So that's always good for whatever quarterback you might have back there. And that defense is good too. I like the defense too that they have. So you don't forget about that. And I'm on the boat here with the Steelers too. This was a tough pick for me, but again, I like the organization. They're pretty smart. They're pretty consistent. And I don't see them, especially if you're not having a Deshaun Watson for the Cleveland Browns, I don't see the Steelers really faltering so much then, too. This gives them a better opportunity to finish third in here. And like I said earlier on, they haven't finished fourth in this division since 1988.
You know what's funny thing that, like, you brought up Mark Andrews. But here's the thing. He's the number one receiver on that team now. And he's a tight end.
Right.
That's not good.
That's almost, if you're looking at the Kansas City Chiefs, you could say that about Travis Kelce at this point too.
Well, that's different. They got a way better receiving core.
They got better receiving core, but
they got actual receivers.
Yeah. But I mean, if you put him next to Juju, though, I mean, who do you think he's throwing to?
Whoever's open.
Whoever's open, possibly. Backhanded too, whatever he's doing too, right? Yeah. The way Patrick Mahomes is, or maybe he's just taking off running. Who knows? But all right, so now that's our AFC North. We're gonna move on to the NFC North, and let's take a look at the expert picks here of Godzilla Media. And we've got Sean Martin going with the Green Bay Packers. Then the Lions here. He's got them finishing second in this one. I think he might be drinking on this one. He's drinking that that Lions stuff that he's seeing on Hard Knocks possibly. Maybe he's watching Hard Knocks and he's like, wow, I'm really feeling the fire in this one. Dan Campbell, I think he's got Dan Campbell fever. Maybe. He's
got Dan Campbell
so he's got
fever.
them finishing second. Now this would be mind blowing right here. Here we go. We've got Slow to Roll in the house with us.
All right.
On YouTube.
What's going on? Slow to roll, baby.
David Queensberry has two brothers. They are Scott Queensberry and Paul Queensberry. Both brothers plays football in the NFL.
That's right.
Boom. Shakalaka.
True statement.
There you go. And so then he's got the Minnesota Vikings faltering right there to third, Joe. That's crazy. And then the Bears. A lot of people, because, they didn't have much, I think, as far as weapons and stuff before and stuff, but
True.
Firing the GM, firing the coach, starting over. Again, you don't have Allen Robinson there anymore, stuff like that. Your biggest guy here is Darnell Mooney, maybe.
That's their number one guy right now.
Yeah. So not a lot of stuff there. Even their defensive guys, they've moved on from. No longer Khalil Mack and some other guys too.
And Roquan Smith wants out. He wants to be traded.
He sees the writing on the wall. He's like, man, we're gonna suck for a little bit. I want to go somewhere else. So they're in the bottom, but. Then if you look at Brian Katie's again, quick, he's got the Minnesota Vikings now overtaking the Green Bay Packers now. Does he see some of this in the whole Aaron Rodgers not trusting the wide receivers there, not having that nice Devontae Adams there? And then Gaz has got it the way it's kind of been in this division, except for the swap of, I think the Bears have been on top, but now because of the resetting the clock here and starting over, they're down at the bottom of the division. But he's feeling the Lions there at third.
Yeah, here's the thing is that this division, there's really two teams that are going to be pushing for the division. It's Packers and Minnesota, and it's always been that way. Listen, I really do love the Lions. Like Martin, I really do love where they're headed, where they're going. It seems like they're making the right additions to this team. And but it takes time to rebuild a team. So this is like their second year in the rebuild with Dan Campbell, and I like where they're headed. I just don't think they're quite there yet, especially on the defensive side.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, that team's kind of gone through a bunch of different transitions, and I think that the timer is starting to run out possibly on them. All right, now Joe, what do you got here now for the NFC? Let's go take a look at your picks here.
Well, it's pretty similar, but
it's the same as guys.
Green Bay I have number 1 because here's the thing: is you talk about consistency. Offensive coaching staff hasn't changed. They got Rodgers. They managed to sign that big time contract, keep him there. But here's the thing: is Alan Lazard, still a veteran receiver, still there. He's going to be the number 1 guy for them. So nothing is going to be crazy, changes along the way. Like they really like Romeo Doubs' potential. Christian, Watkins, he's still got things to work on. But they have other veteran receivers that are still on that roster that Rodgers will trust. And I think they'll get on the same page by week 1. This is a very well-run organization. Their defense is pretty good, especially with everyone being healthy again. Jair Alexander, he was done for last season. He's coming back at corner. So they got a lot to work with. And they got these young pass rushers that are tenacious. So I think they're going to be A-okay. You know what I mean? They got their running backs. They got the complete team. That's why I got them at the number 1 spot. Vikings, still not sure, how consistent can Kirk Cousins be? We've seen him be inconsistent. It's troubling a little bit, and their defense has kind of faltered a little bit, especially last year. They're not that strong Viking defense that we normally see. So because of that, that's why I got them kind of slipping and staying in the 2nd spot. Lions, I got them rising up above the Bears for a couple of reasons. One, like I said before, I like the additions they've made. They got a very young team, a hungry team, and they play extremely hard for Campbell, no matter what. We saw, surprisingly, I was shocked how well they played last year. I thought they were going to be dead last and be the laughing stock, but they really proved me wrong. Chicago, on the other hand, they've just lost way too much in terms of personnel. Allen Robinson is gone. He's a Ram now. James Daniels, who's seen as one of the best guards in football, he left. That's a huge loss, especially on an offensive line that you needed help in. And you just don't have impactful receiving core. There's nothing there for the young quarterback to work with. I think this is going to be one of those struggling type of years for Chicago, and that's why I got them last.
Absolutely, and that's the thing, and it stings for somebody like Justin Fields to have to go through that early. But again,
I love him too. I think he could become really something special for them. But now that you don't really have a rock solid O-line, who is he going to throw to at this point? Darnell Mooney can't do everything. He's going to get double teamed now. So. Man, it sucks.
I hear you too as well. And here, look at my picks. I think we went exactly the same again. The last 2 was kind of tough again, but I was weighing it out. Right. Again, I feel bad for the Justin Fields too, just because there's not a whole lot there for them, like you said. And we're on the turning around. They're trying to restart, get going. Meanwhile, the Lions did that last year. So that's why they hit their reboost last year. They still have Jared Goff there, too. Again, they drafted wide receiver. And they have other familiar weapons there, too, as well. So, and again, like you said, they're really behind this head coach. They play hard. Like I said, they were in a tight game with the Baltimore Ravens last year. So you saw them. They never, even at the end of the season, they had the chance to try and play spoiler for some of these other teams, too. They won some good games. And he got everybody fired up to where he's crying in the locker room and stuff. So everybody's behind him.
He's one of the most genuine coaches that really does care and love his players, like everybody, and you can see it.
And that's how you get people to buy in.
I mean, you think of a coach that was not really similar. He's very small. Dick Vermeil, right? And he cried a lot. Like he showed his emotion right out in the open. So he really cared for his players. Dan Campbell is like that hard-nosed type of former player, now coach, but he still loves his team so much. He had a speech this week in his camp, and he was like kind of just saying, like, basically he was like, I love all you guys. Listen, if you worked hard for me, we're going to get farther as a football team. And and this is not verbatim, by the way, but I'm just kind of, generalizing. And then he went on to say, like, listen, if I catch you guys on the sideline looking up at the sky, playing with your shoestrings, not paying attention to your teammates and the plays and what we're trying to do here, I'm going to lose my shit. I'm going to lose my shit on you. And he's like, then he just took a big sigh of relief and he goes, okay, we're good. It's almost like he channeled his inner.
Like, now we good. You understand that now? Now I've got that off my chest. There you go.
He's and this is what players respond to. You know what I mean? A guy that's gonna he's really there for them. You know what I mean? He's not trying to sugarcoat anything.
Again, and now if you look at the rest of my list too, you've got the Green Bay Packers at top again. Minnesota. Again, the defense starting to take a tick down here. They still have some good weapons there for Kirk Cousins, but they are what they are. You know what I mean? You've seen this song and dance over and over again.
They got to outscore
Green
everybody.
Bay Packers, they've lost a little bit here, at least by not having Devontae Adams here, but again, you still have great running backs too, and you watch out for those guys too. Don't forget about A.J. Dillon there too on top of that side with the big, huge rock thighs and everything, or the Quadzilla. So watch out for that. But those guys, until they show signs of really faltering, they've got to be at top for me. You know what I mean? They've been there, been to the playoffs every single time. It's just last year, too, it kind of seemed like the only thing that troubles me with them is Aaron Rodgers, especially of lately, just seems like he's more nonchalant about the game. He has been one of the best in the game altogether, but in that playoff game, it kind of seemed like when that offense couldn't get going and score, he was kind of like, well, yeah, we're still in it. I'm still confident we can roll this. And then all of a sudden, the game turned on him just like that, and they were out of it, and he's almost shell-shocked. And now hearing about his drug policies that he's been up to and everything and stuff. So that might even lead to some of that where he's got other options going on here, different interests in his life. But as far as, again, as I know, Green Bay Packers, until they show other signs here or get knocked off, I got to go with them for the division.
I mean, yeah, exactly. You're right. That's how I feel.
There you go.
What he said.
So there you go. So that's our
I don't know what
AFC
else to say.
and NFC North
said
picks
it.
right there. Godzilla Media, they joined us here as well again.
Listen, all I got to say is if you made it this far in the show, we really, really love you.
Ooh,
That's
yeah,
all
we
I know.
definitely do.
Because this is, we do long shows sometimes.
Yeah, we do.
And we like to talk to you guys out there.
We kept it under 2 hours, though, still.
Listen, if you know anybody, just saying, if you happen to have a friend or a family member or anybody that's interested in football talk and they want to be interactive, well, this is the best damn interactive football talk show you can have. Drop a comments below, ask questions, give us your opinion. We're here for you guys. So, I mean, that's what it's really all about, is to share information, share opinions, have some debates here. But listen, love to talk football with you guys. Make sure you invite them. Go over to YouTube. That's right, get over to YouTube. And do me a favor, search us up, Football on the No Show. Hit that subscribe button.
Hashtag
Help us grow this football community that we got going here. Hit that notification bell to let you guys know when we go live. And also follow us on Facebook and become a know-it-all. That's right. And it doesn't just stop there. We are everywhere. We're even anywhere you can get your podcasts, and we're also on Spotify video as well. So make sure you give us a follow along, and if you want to be more interactive, head over to Facebook or YouTube and become a know-it-all. Join us next week.
Absolutely. Jeremy Clute says he's still out there with us, too.
Clute's still here.
He's seen it to the end. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
everybody.
sir.
Hope you enjoyed the episode, and we will see you guys next week.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday nights for more Football on the No with Jim and Joe.